So like I said earlier, I'm married. Yes? Some of y'all know my husband, comedian Chris Oliver. Yes? Chris and I just celebrated a big anniversary. Yes? We have been married for 28 years. I just want to see where it goes before I put out. But I'm a good wife. I was like, hey, honey, I've got an idea. Do you want to have a three-way for our anniversary? He said, your belly dancing teacher. You've clearly thought about this already. Okay. So, y'all, I told my belly dancing teacher, I said, I hope this doesn't offend you. And she said, a belly dancer's job is to appear to be a sexual being to everyone in the room. She said, so just you telling me that proves to me that I've done my job. And I was like, wow, that is awesome. But you still didn't answer the question about the three-way. Because I haven't gotten him anything yet. But what I want to know is, can I please have another bridal shower? Because I have lost all the lids to the Tupperware that I got 28 years ago. If it weren't for medical marijuana, I would have no Tupperware whatsoever. Anybody have some mac and cheese in a King Kush container in their fridge right now? We've actually been together for 30 years. Thanks. So I feel like I can give y'all a relationship tip. Do you want a relationship tip? Okay. Y'all, marrying your best friend is a great way to ruin a friendship. Chris can watch the same old black and white movie like 200 times in a row, but he won't let me tell that same story twice about that thing that happened to me in the 80s. I get like 2 words in. He's like, I've heard this story before. I'm like, why don't you pretend like it's Casablanca and fucking hear it again? We've been together 30 years. I got no new stories. I recently got in a huge fight with Chris, my husband. And then within the span of 2 days, I also got in a huge fight with my dad, and a huge fight with my kid, and a huge fight with my sister. All about completely different things. And at some point, you have to be like, okay, it's me. I mean, there's a pattern forming here, and it's starting to point to me. Right? There's something about me that just attracts these people who are just wrong all the time. That's on me. But if you're in a long-term relationship, you're never just having the fight in front of you, right? You're never just having the fight about the thing that just happened. No, you're having every fight you ever had since you met the person. Right? Nobody just like messes up or makes a mistake. No, it's a pattern of behavior. Right? You think you're having a relationship. You're not having a relationship. You're collecting evidence. You are building a case against the other person. You're making a mental note of everything they do and say so that 10 years later, when they do it again, you can be like, see, you always do this. I just found out recently that Chris is afraid of me. Yes, I did not know that. Here's how I found out. So Chris does all the grocery shopping at our house because I have anxiety and I don't go to stores. So it's a big ordeal. You know, he goes, it's gone half the day, and like he goes to 2 different stores. Like it's a big ordeal, I imagine. And then he's bringing all the stuff upstairs, you know, bringing all the stuff from the car upstairs. He puts it out all on the table, and I'm going through it, and I'm like, oh, you didn't get the milk? And he goes, I got milk. And I'm looking for him. I'm like, I don't think you got the milk. Like, I put milk on the list. He said, I got milk. I'm like, it's on the list, but it's not here. And so he goes, I'll get the milk. And he grabs his keys and starts going to the door. And I'm like, honey, you've been gone for the whole time. He goes, I'll get the milk. I said, you've been gone this whole day. Like, you just get it later or whatever. It's no big deal. And he goes, I just want you to be happy. My God. What kind of monster am I? And how can I use this to my advantage? For something better than milk. So I have to explain this to people all the time. I'm bi, and I'm married to a man. So what that means is I made the wrong choice. Actually, I used to identify as bi, but now that I've been married for so long, I just identify as dead inside. Before I got married, I was, what do you call it? Oh, yeah, slut. I used to try to fill this hole in my heart with one night stand after one night stand. But young people, now that I'm older, I can see that for what it really was. The best fucking time of my entire life. And I miss it. I kind of miss it. So when you've been together a long time, you got to mix it up. Who's been together a long time? Right? You got to mix it up, right? So here's what I do when I want Chris to pay attention to me. I take off all my clothes, and I cover my naked body in kung fu movies and early 80s punk albums. He's so into me. I like dirty talk. Anybody like dirty talk? Yeah. Chris hates it. So he sucks at it. So I've been thinking about hiring a ghostwriter to like crouch by our bed and tell him what to say. Like we're in the middle of it. I'm like, oh yeah, Daddy, you like that? And Chris is like, line. The ghostwriter's like, tell her she's a good girl. Chris is like, she's a good girl. I mean, you're a good girl. So finally, I just end up fucking the ghostwriter. See, y'all, I married a wild man. But after 30 years with me, I done turned him sensitive. I turned him into a feminist. So one night, I was like, hey, honey, I've got an idea. Why don't you dominate me tonight? Right? Why don't you spank my ass and pull my hair? And he goes, I can't do that. That's misogynistic. That's violence against women. I'm like, will you quit empathizing with me and just fuck me already? And then he started liking the domination thing just a little too much. We're sitting there one night after dinner. He goes, wash your dishes, bitch. You better save that shit for the bedroom. That shit don't fly in the kitchen. So Chris and I were on a TV show called Sex Box. Yep. Did anybody see it? Okay, if it comes on TV, change the channel. Just do me a solid. If you don't know what Sex Box is a TV show where couples go on stage and have sex in a box. It's pretty self-explanatory. But here's the crazy thing, y'all. I did not audition for Sex Box. I did not submit myself for a thing called Sex Box. They actually called me. Completely out of the blue, they called me. And I was like, you had me at Sex in a Box. You don't have to tell me what it is. But Chris was not so excited about it. He was like, okay, so if they can't see us and they can't hear us, we don't actually have to have sex in the box, right? He's like, we can just go in there and talk. I'm like, we're fucking in the box. What? Who wouldn't fuck in the box? Did I just spit all over you? Who wouldn't fuck in the box? Fucking in the box? Definitely. Fucking in the box? I know you would fuck in the box. You would definitely fuck in the box. So we fucked in the box. We really, really did. And here's the greatest thing about this story, okay? They wanted to pay us $500. They paid everyone else $500. But I talked them up. I ended up getting us $2,000. Isn't that awesome? I was like, there's no way I'm gonna fuck my own husband for $500. Not in a box. Not with a fox. So now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to become obsessed with death. And not the usual way, like romanticizing my own suicide. So my whole life, I've always planned that the way I was gonna die was to kill myself. I just always have. But now that I'm 51, I feel like at this point, I could just wait it out. Right? I mean, suicide is like waiting tables. At my age, it's just embarrassing. I'm a comedian, so obviously I'm depressed. I send myself emails all the time. Y'all send yourself emails? Yep, last email I sent myself, all it said is, don't talk anymore. So things are fine. Everything's fine. Y'all know that voice in your head that's like always running and usually criticizing you? You think animals have that voice? Like telling them they're a shitty raccoon? Because I'm a shitty raccoon. But y'all, if I do kill myself, do I have to make it funny? Because it would be my closer. But no, the way I'm obsessed with death now is I'm obsessed with the idea that Chris is gonna die and I'm gonna find his body. I'm not proud of this. Okay, you know that when you get a puppy, right? You know that one day that puppy's gonna die, right? But you make this bargain with yourself. I wanna be part of this puppy's life, so I'm willing to one day be part of its death. But when you're 19 years old and you start dating someone, you don't realize this puppy's gonna die. This puppy's gonna die, and I'm very attached to this puppy. And by the way, why do people have emotional support animals that they will outlive? Isn't that just a recipe for disaster? There should only ever be emotional support tortoises. So I'm obsessed with the idea that Chris is gonna die and I'm gonna find his body. So Chris goes to bed hours before me. That's the secret to a long-term relationship. Chris goes to bed hours before me. So the first thing I do every night when I come to bed is touch his body to see if it's cold. I told you I'm not proud of this. So I touch him and he feels warm. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool, he's warm. And then I'm like, but that could be the electric blanket. So then I stick my finger under his nose. I wish I was making all this up. I stick my finger under his nose to see if I can feel him breathing. And sometimes it's pretty obvious, like you can feel breath, but sometimes you do it and you can't tell, like if anything's coming out. So if I can't tell whether or not Chris is breathing, what I do is I get as close to his face as I possibly can, and then I cough really loud. And he's like, oh my God, oh shit, what's happening? What's happening? And I'm like, oh, you must have had a bad dream. to sleep in months. Like, what's going on? I'm like, it's a mystery. We may never find out. Y'all, I have a confession to make. When Chris goes to bed at night, I go through his phone. And I like all my Facebook posts. So I was flipping through the channels like 3 o'clock one morning, and that movie Ghost was on. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? With Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. And it was the romantic scene. You know, the pottery scene, right? Like she's making the pot, and he comes up behind her and embraces her. And the pot collapses, and the music's playing. And then watching that, and I'm like, oh man, you can so tell from that scene that they're newlyweds. Right? Because if they'd been married a long time, she'd be like, what the fuck? I'm trying to make a pot. You always do this. Pottery is me time. We've talked about this. Speaking of romantic, I heard that song in the car recently, You Are So Beautiful to Me. Y'all know that song? You are so beautiful to me. Man, I bet the woman that song was written for really gave him shit about the to me part. She's like, seriously, to me? You had to put a qualifier on that shit? He's like, I don't care what anybody else says, baby. You're beautiful to me. What was the first draft of that song? You are so ugly to everyone else. I'm just saying there was a fight. There was definitely a fight. So I was a teenager in the 80s. So I've heard the song Baby Got Back a million times. I mean, obviously I have, but I guess never really listened to the words to it that carefully, because it came on in the car the other day, and I realized, he has a lot of requirements. Have you really listened to the words to Baby Got Back? Not only does she have to have a big ass, she has to have a real slim waist. On the same body. And she has to have a made-up face, right? Like he has this whole long list of things he requires out of a woman. Meanwhile, the whole time, he gets to look like Sir Mix-a-Lot. Right, we're supposed to pull off some freaky waist-to-hip ratio. That motherfucker running around looking like Sir Mix-a-Lot. Probably not even a real sir. Probably not even a real sir. So Chris and I finally saw the movie Straight Outta Compton. Who's seen that? Not enough. White people, come on. It's a good movie. So someone loaned us a screener from the Oscars, an old Oscar screener. Anybody watched an Oscar screener lately? Okay, you can back me up because what I'm about to say sounds like a lie. At the beginning of Straight Outta Compton, y'all, it said, after you watch this movie, break the disc in half. And y'all, I watched Straight Outta Compton, and I did not break the disc in half. Because you know what? Fuck the police. I'm gangsta as a motherfucker. I loaned it to somebody else. I want to close tonight on a public service announcement, okay? Y'all, I'm so sick of slut shaming, right? Where are my sluts at? You know I can see you. Right? Y'all, I'm so sick of slut shaming. By the way, straight men, most counterintuitive thing you've ever done. Could not go more against your own self-interest than to make women feel shitty about liking sex. Right? I'm so tired of hearing, you're never gonna catch a man if you're a whore. You're never going to get a husband if you're a slut. Yeah, because why would any man want to marry a woman that likes to fuck? What could possibly be the upside? Whenever I hear a guy say, my wife will never have sex with me, my wife will never blow me, I'm like, well, you're the one that wanted to marry, good girl. That shit is on you. If you're married to me, you be getting your dick sucked right now. In a box. Thank y'all so much. Thank you so much.